Agarihara against Hrae. I'm not sure how you pronounce Hrae. Maybe it's Hrae. I don't care. I'll just call him Hrae. And he's up against Agarihara. Agarihara is playing the brown Protoss on spot number 7. And he's up against Hrae, who is playing on spot number 3. He's playing the white Terran up against the brown Protoss. And I casted the game of Agarihara not too recently, and I was rather impressed with his level of play, though perhaps a little bit too greedy at times. But he had amazing micromanagement and a great feeling for counterattacking and using his units and being able to attack and fight with minimal resources used. And that really impressed me because not a lot of players can manage their units in such a way that they can get the most out of the least possible investment that they have. Anyway, they're just chit-chatting a bit, and I'm gonna keep my eye on Agarihara, who starts off with a gateway, a single gateway after an 8-9 pylon, and he follows it up with a nexus. There it is, and he might follow it up with another gateway. I'm not too sure what he's going to do. We don't often see a single gateway into Nexus build. So he might either go for the traditional build or he might go for something completely different. And there is the Forge. Probe is moving towards his choke and he's going to throw down a pylon at his choke. And that is all rather standard. The only deviation as of yet is this single gateway instead of 2. And Hrae starts off with the usual Terran build. A depot, 3 barracks, an early scout with an SCV that finishes the barrack, and the early scout with the very first marine that comes out of the barrack. And a late gas, as he usually always tends to do. A late gas, and there is the gas. Usually some people prefer to make the gas with the SCV that finishes the first barrack. But Hrae is more the kind of person who makes the gas a little bit later, which I do think makes it a little bit harder to fight off against mid builds, because your stim will be delayed and you'll have to rely way more on your micro and preserve your marines while they have lower damage, but it also delays your medics and fire bats, which again makes it harder to fight that off. And here they have both found each other. There's an SCV inside Agari's base. There is a cannon at the choke. The SCV made it through just in time. There is a Zealot that is getting caught out by these Marines that Hrae is now sending out of his base to block Agari off. With his Marines, just keep information on what he's doing. This SCV is still happily running circles, while Agari is now mining from 2 simulators. He started a cybernetics core. And there is the robotic facility. He's adding 2 more cannons to the choke. And there is an academy coming out for Hrae after he finished the gas. And there is a Terran factory under construction. So he's just happily and slowly adding on to his base, preparing for, I assume, mostly anti-drop tech. Because here we can most definitely presume that Agari is going for drops, and there a single probe dies to an SCV. Let's see, he has a single kill. That's actually way more than an SCV should have been able to do. And he's going in, trying to kill another SCV, another probe, but he loses the SCV. There's a pylon coming down, there's a Citadel of Adun. And an attack on the front just failed while I was distracted with a little chit-chat, but it doesn't seem like Hrae lost too many Marines, maybe 3 or 2. As he immediately pulled back, realizing that he couldn't take that down. Maybe he's gonna wait for medics. There's 3 medics coming out now. There's a tank being a machine shop is added on to that, and there is the stim upgrade. But Agari knows that Hrae is most likely gonna try to be aggressive here, so he throws a gateway in front of the cannons just to create something that's in between the Marines and the cannons, and he's adding on 2 more cannons. So either Hrae will be very lucky, or he will lose most of these Marines, or he will pull back and be smart. There he goes, he attacks, but he immediately pulls back, knowing that there are more cannons now, and he knows he cannot kill that, so he just pulls back and waits for more Marines to group up, and Agari, in the meantime, has started Psionic Storm on his Templar's Archive. There he is attacking again, but he pulls back again. And now he's pulling back towards his... Looks like he's going to pull back to his base, knowing that this is feudal. No, he stays there in the front. And there are pylons coming down for Agari, just building the skeleton of his base. There is a Reaver in production. There's a Templar in production too. The second shuttle will follow the Reaver. And he's going to pick up the Reaver. He picks up the Reaver. The shuttle speed is upgrading. Marine range is upgrading for Hrae. And Hrae does not have a scan yet. He went for a very late CC. He's got a second gas running now. There is an engineering base, so he will be making turrets very soon, but he completely missed the shuttle. Here he is scouting, getting side vision, hoping to spot a shuttle leaving Agarihara's base, but Agarihara sent it around really nicely, but he does send it over these Marines here, and the Marines spot the shuttle, and he redirects the shuttle, hoping it will reach... Oh wait, no, he unloads the Reaver, and he kills the Marines before the shuttle can go down, but the shuttle has been lowered in HP now, and he's going to fly it in, and all of Hrae's units are now being pulled back to his main CC in the hopes of being able to protect his minerals from this Reaver drop. And he's just keeping the Reaver drop right there on the hill, because he knows that if he sends it in, it will probably immediately die to Marine Stimfire. And he sends it in, and he does get it to unload, but he's not quick enough with firing. Or actually, the game's Reaver is not quick enough at firing. He immediately clicked, but the Reaver takes a little bit of time to set up that single shot. There's a shuttle loaded up with 2 Templars sitting there in the corner. He's gonna scoot over here. 3 more robotic facilities being added on for Agari. And a bunch of starports. So he's really planning on going for that tech. Either Corsairs or Arbiters. Maybe he's preparing for carriers, not too sure about that. But here Hrae is pushing out of his base. He'll line his tanks up right here and take those cannons down. And here are 2 drops coming in on Agari from 2 directions. And there is the first storm, there is the second storm. And he ends up just killing a couple of Marines. And there is a 3rd Templar out, and I think Hrae loses 12 SCVs to the Templar storm. He probably already assumed that the Templar had already stormed. There is another Templar out there down at the bottom, and I don't think he has seen it. The Templar might immediately die once he decides to walk out of the cover. Here, Hrae is now pushing in. He's killed the gateway in the front. He's killed all the cannons, functioning as a choke for Agari, and now Hrae might be able to push him in, although I highly doubt that he has enough units or enough income to sustain the push, because he did lose a couple of Marines in his base and lost 12 SCVs, while only on a single CC production for SCVs for most of that game. So these units that Agari has here will definitely prove to be way too much for Hrae to handle, and Hrae doesn't pull back his units. He does pull back his units now, but it's already way too late. Tanks have been stormed and have lost a lot of HP, a lot of Marines have died, and now Agari is getting is chunking down the side of this army. 2 tanks have gone down, and at least 10 Marines have gone down too, and Hrae is now pulling back all of his units, and he has killed the Templar there in the corner of his base, and the medic's just healing up all of the SCVs that lost HP to the storm. There is another drop flying around. There's a single Templar in there, so there's no distraction zealot inside the shuttle, so it might either... The Templar might even get dropped, but it will immediately die if target fired before it can storm, so it will really be whoever has the fastest reflexes and reactions and movements with their mouse to see who will hit this. And he's just going to hang it and hover it there on the hill, and now he's going to fly it in right now, and 3 turrets are shooting down it, and the Templar gets out, and the Templar storms a couple of Marines, but it kills only a single Marine as the Marines stim out of it and kill the Templar. And here inside of Agari's base, Agari is now setting up. He's going to set up pylons here on the side, and maybe add a nexus here for extra gas income, because it's, well, he can't make a nexus here because this building is blocking the other nexuses off. sending out his units. Hrae is now making a choke as fast as he can because he knows that Agari will attack him, but the wall didn't finish. And actually Agari pulls back and now he is going in. Another drop is flying in from the side, from the top side of his base, and the drop flies in all the way, and there is a Reaver, but the Reaver... There's a Storm, and the Storm kills 7 SCVs. Hrae manages to pull off most of the SCVs, but the front, this choke is going down very rapidly. Although he did kill most of Agari's units, and Agari pulls back his zealots after breaking a tiny hole into that wall that Hrae built at his front. And Agari made it off pretty well, losing only 7 SCVs to the drop, but he did lose a lot of units. I think he lost, I saw about 12 dead Marines there. So that is still a really nice net gain for Agari and a loss for Hrae, because Hrae now has to invest in more Marines, more units, and has to quickly rebuild his base, while his income is smaller than he'd want it to be because of the very late +1 CC. And Agari now flying in again with 6 shuttles coming in from the side that has proven to be weakest for Hrae. And the front is getting attacked by zealots, but Hrae does not fall for the trap. Hrae now target firing the shuttles. He takes down a single shuttle, takes down a second shuttle. The second shuttle has died, but he manages to unload 4 shuttles at the top side of Hrae's base, and there is a Reaver there and 12 zealots, and the 12 zealots are doing a lot of work taking down turrets and Marines, and a lot of Marines have died there. And the Reaver is taking down chunks of Marines one shot at a time, and the depots are going down, but luckily Hrae has enough depots to keep the supply intact, so we don't get supply blocked by the loss of these depots. But the one attack upgraded zealots are proving to be a very, very big problem for Hrae, as Hrae has almost no Marines left inside his base and only 4 tanks standing. And he will have to kick up his production and build his base up very quickly if he even wants to stand a chance of surviving whatever Agari is going to throw at him next. Agari now has a very big base, already has Arbalest out at 12 minutes. And his upgrades are rolling very nice. There's a recall coming in, there's armor coming in, there's shields coming in for him. And he's producing 15 zealots at a time. And there's a drop coming in from the top side of Hrae's base. And Hrae is now throwing down a lot of bunkers, knowing that the drop with Reavers inside it is coming. But there, the drop is flying in, and he unloads the Reaver on top of the bunkers, and he takes down a lot of the tanks. And now he is attacking the SCVs with his zealot, hoping that Hrae will kill his own SCVs with splash damage. But Hrae notices and immediately unloads, but there is a Reaver shot, and Reaver shot takes down no SCVs at all. That's a lot of good luck for Hrae, even though he only had a single SCV on that side. He managed to pull off the other side of the SCVs, but that was a very good hold for Hrae, as Agari's drop did the least possible amount of damage that it could have possibly done. And the recall upgrade for Agari is about to finish, and these Arbiters are on 100 H energy. There is not a drop coming in from the bottom side. And Agari is going to ball up his units around here for a recall. After he flies in with this drop, the drop is coming in from the south side, and there are no Marines on the south side. There are a couple of Marines at the main CC, but there's definitely not enough. And he just decides to drop it on top of the turrets and clean out the turrets. But you'll definitely be able to kill these Marines and these 2 tanks with these zealots, and he's going to focus down the depots. And there he is walking in his Templar. The Templar storms the good side, and he kills 38 SCVs of Hrae, and Hrae didn't pull his SCVs away. Hrae is now completely demolished on in terms of income. So there he is, only 10 or so SCVs left on his minerals, and I assume he knows that this match is pretty much futile now. And there, both Arbiters have energy for a recall now, and there are a lot of units balled up in the choke of Agari, and Agari now sending his Arbiters in at 14 minutes, and immediately goes for the mass double recall. And there all the units are coming in, even shuttles got pulled in, a lot of Templars, SCVs, and he storms all of the remaining SCVs that Agari had. Only 4 SCVs escape the onslaught, and all the zealots are now chasing down the tanks inside of Hrae's base, and Hrae realizes that the game is over and calls no DG. Yeah, there is the GG. He throws out a little bit more of whatever he said, and he leaves the game. And that is a very well pulled off PVT by Agarihara, but also some mistakes from Hrae by being a little bit too greedy and not pulling his SCVs off of his minerals as fast as he should have. And the game ends up as, I won't say a landslide victory, but it was still rather one-sided in favor of Agari. Hrae put up a decent fight. He held a couple of those drops really well, but not well enough. Thanks for watching this one. I will be doing another one right after this. So stay tuned and sit tight, and I'll upload it in a jiffy.